So this is my review of my Aquarium Basics incubator. I've hatched eggs, I think 4 times, maybe 5. And I've had pretty good success rate. They don't look so clean in there. I bleached it. Well, it's stuff that got in underneath the plastic casing, I'm sure, because that's all bleached out, all disinfected. And I do that after every time I use it. I also shop vac the top. You'll see little, looks like dust over the top here where the hole is for control your humidity. And that's not dust, those are little tiny baby chickie feathers. That's the chicken dung that usually some people are allergic to. I also vacuum with my shop vac. As you see, I can't really get up into those little tiny groove spots. I could probably take a pipe cleaner and do it, but I will next time because I did it 3 times ago. This is really basic. When it comes in the box, it's packed in this styrofoam container. Don't break it when you take it out of the box. That's not a packing box. That is the insulation that goes around the bottom part of the incubator. And that's what helps keeps your temperature pretty straightforward. It comes, or mine came, with the little tray here. It goes in the bottom under the rollers. The rollers. Squeeze bottle, spray bottle. Sorry. Brain dead, brain fart. The candler, so you can candle the eggs, see if they're viable or not. And not only this one, but there is also one here on top that you set the egg on. And I put the egg on top there, and then I hold that candler behind it too, and you can really light up the egg. It also has a charger because it's a rechargeable battery inside the candler. Now, a lot of them don't come with these things, and I didn't even know this was going to come with my setup, but it did, and it was pretty awesome. It also comes here with the alligator clips if you want to use a battery backup in case your electricity goes out, which is really handy. Okay, I'm trying to get all this stuff set out of the way because I'm going to reload my incubator again tonight. I let it rest for a few hours. I sterilized it. I cleaned it up. Oh, one more thing. My little bar here that I do this on is like crooked. So I put some shims underneath it to level it out. I'm going to do that right now. Because it will have something bearing on when your eggs are rolling. Your eggs could jam up, which mine had done that before. So, when you put it together, you'll want to put your rollers in, and you adjust them for the size of the eggs you're going to use. You see right down here is the adjacent roller, and there's some grooves. It's hard to do one-handed. You just set them in the grooves. Mine are just regular chicken eggs, so I don't measure. I just go every other one. And that's worked well for me. You can do quail eggs in this. You can do turkey eggs in this. There's it didn't come with a book to tell me what temperature you set for certain eggs, which I don't need because I use the default. I haven't messed with setting any temperatures because what it's set at works great for me. See, I got those all in there. And then, see, these are the little plug-ins for the roller. There's one up here on the top to the fan. And which goes into the control. And see, I have mine over here behind my stove, plugged in. And it has your AC adapter And the lights will turn green when it's running and plugged in, and as you can see. Okay, I'm going to load this up. And just like last time, I put 16 eggs in. And I got 12 here in this carton. I got some more over there. Do you see the difference in my eggs? See the difference in size? What you don't want to do is put a whole bunch of big ones in a line, because they'll jam up. You want to kind of give them some room. And see, like, put big ones with little ones. And my Buff Orpington eggs are huge. And then I have Sapphire Gems, and I have Americanas, and I got a couple light blue eggs over there in my Americanas. I want to make sure I get in here. See how those touch? That egg's so big. This time I might not put 16 in. I might just put 12 in. Or who knows. Let's see how they fit in here nice. You load up your eggs. No in particular way. And see, some people make the mistake of putting in this tray. You don't put this in until you do lockdown. And I'll explain that here in a minute. So I'm loading up my eggs. And I already see these big ones are going to give me a little hassle. They will jam up and they won't turn. My last 2 eggs that didn't hatch were my big Buff Orpingtons, because I think they didn't turn. See how they'll touch? You want to make room in there, and they won't stay that way. They'll wiggle around. Okay, I'm going to set this down right here. Give me a second. I'm going to grab some more eggs. Okay, I have 2 more. My chickens have been doing double laying. It's been awesome. So I'll put 14 eggs in. That's how many chicks hatched this last time out of 16 eggs, which is an excellent hatch rate, as they say the hatch rate on incubators the typical hatch rate is 55 to 75%. And when you get 14 eggs out of 16 hatching, I say that's pretty darn good. So I'm going to set this down a second so I can plug in the little plugins. I think I had to do this in 2 parts because I set it down and it went off, and then my phone said it was full. So I wanted to move some of these eggs in here, because as you can see, that big one's overhanging. So I'm going to put it in a line, a littler length of eggs, like such. And you hear that little beeping? That's because the temperature went down. And see, that's just a warning to tell you that you're not at 38 degrees. And it's annoying, but it'll go off because it'll raise itself back up to 38 degrees. Or this was saying 636. That's when it shuts off. But 38's the best. So you see this light still up here for heat. These will go off up here once you get to your temperature of 38. Okay, back to this, putting the shims in. It's very crucial that you have your incubator level, because it, like I said before, it affects your eggs. They might all shift this way a little bit, and then they won't roll correctly. And then as far as this little tray I was telling you goes in on lockdown, well, the rollers come out after you lay the eggs. I put my eggs on a towel, keep them safe, try to do it quickly. I take the rollers out and I set this in, and then I put this dice mat on top of it. I got to cut this down to fit over the tray. After you take the rollers out, you'll set this in. It fits in there perfectly. And I'm going to trim it down to exactly the size of the square, because it bunched up on me a couple times and it was silly that I didn't trim it. I put the dice mat. This is your regular shelving dice mat material. You can buy it at the Dollar General store. I put this on here, and I use this because I can bleach this. I can clean this after use. Because the little chicken feet, they're so tiny, they'll go through this. And you don't want that. You don't want them injured. So you'll put this in. After you take the rollers out, you'll put the eggs back in. You just lay them however you want. Nice and do it very nice and gently. And that's what is called lockdown. You'll close the lid as soon as you get them in there. And this is the time that's kind of crucial for you, your humidity. And that's when you'll take the bottle and you'll squirt down here in there's 2 little holes down here. You will squirt water in. Like I don't know if I covered this in the first video. I do it about twice a week. And that's it, you know. I just, up until lockdown time. Then lockdown time, I will give it a couple of squirts every day for those 5 days. That's lockdown. That's on day 16 because it takes 21 days for your eggs to hatch. And this is where it's really crucial, those 5 days. That's when the little birdies are getting ready to come out. And if it gets too warm in your room or something, and you see there's a lot of beating up of water on this is my only window. Some people have cut holes in their styrofoam so they can see in better. But you can just tell by looking on the side, if it's all beaded up and it's all real moist, real humid, you don't want it to be saturating wet. You can open this little window up here, let some of the humidity out. So on day 21, when you hear them peeping, what I do is, you're not supposed to peek, I do. When they hatch, when they start hatching, they don't all hatch in the same minute. And sometimes it'll take a day for some. Some it takes them no time at all when they're out of their shells. I take out the shells. Once they're out of them completely, I usually wait about an hour after they come out of their shells or 2, because they still might be attached to their umbilical cord, and you will injure your chicken if you pull your shells off of them. You make sure they're out of their shells and off of their shells and not attached to them all by themselves, because they got to absorb that yolk. They need it to survive. It's their colostrum, you might say. So I take out the little pieces of shells to give them more room in there, and so they don't get injured. And they won't hurt themselves on those sharp edges. And then I leave them in the incubator from 4 to 12 hours to dry. They don't need to eat or drink while they're in here, because that umbilical cord, they absorb everything they need for the next 12 hours of their life. So, and then I'll remove them, and I put them in a little Tupperware tub or storage tub with wood shavings, clean wood shavings, and a little dish of water. I dip their beaks in the water first thing after they're done drying and out of the incubator. That's how you teach them how to drink water. And I do put some chick starter food, which that's not. If you've got cracked corn, chickens will eat it, even on day 1. So I just use chick starter because I have it. It's handy. But I didn't used to. Oh gosh, I raised chickens in the 80s, and never even heard of chick starter. They had cracked corn, so I fed them. Well, when they get older, now I feed them cracked corn and sunflower seeds through the winter, and cat food, because they're carnivorous, these chicks. All chickens. Well, okay, back to putting them in which I call their nursery, is a tub. And, well, let's see, I'll take you out and show you. This big old box, I used to make it with just a bunch of different cardboard boxes taped together, but I got a Papasan chair from my sister, and it was perfect. Anyway, see all the babies in here? See what I do? I put the newborns in this tub with wood shavings, and I put a little dish, and I put a jar in the middle of the dish right here because chickies like to get in their water. They get all wet and they could get sick. Putting something in the middle of the bowl keeps them from getting into the water. So they get their water, and I throw their chicken starter in that little plate, and then I'll spread it around in the wood shavings too, because they scratch and they eat it. But then I do this with the heat lamp for 4 weeks. They'll get big enough, they'll get out of this little box all by themselves, and they'll run around here. They got plenty of room in here. And as you can see, some of my bigger chickies are sleeping. Startled. Excuse me. It's crucial to keep them warm. The recommended length for your heat lamp was 18 inches. Well, I raised it a little bit because they're in that plastic box. I don't want them getting too hot because we've had some pretty warm temperatures. And outside air is already warm, so this seems to work pretty good. And I give them a little something to hide behind. They feel safe if they can hide behind something. And then when they get a little bit bigger, you'll see they'll perch up on things. And they'll even fly out of this box. So I'll be putting a little gate or another piece of cardboard here to keep them in. And after 4 weeks, or it's not even 4 weeks, it's just as soon as they have all their feathers in, and you'll be able to tell about the last place their feathers come in is around their neck. They go from little fur ball babies to feathery looking dinosaurs. And then I transition them and take them out to the brooder house. And I have a little playpen part set up for them. I keep them separate from the big chickens. And I've had such good success. It only takes a day for the chickens to get to know the little chicks. They get to see through the wire. Get to look at them and smell them and see them and know they're in there. Next day I let them out and they all run together. And the little ones kind of stay close to the brooder house and in the front yard pen that is wide open to all my yard. They got 5 acres they can run. They'll stay in the little yard for a couple of weeks all by themselves. And then they'll start running with the big ones. But I feed them separately from the big ones in their little pen because the big ones will kind of push them out away from the food. That's when they'll do their pecking order. I don't have any fighting or any problem because I let the little ones, at least for a week, eat all by themselves in their own space till they get a little bit bigger. It doesn't take long. And like I said, I've had excellent success rate. 55 to 75% hatch rate is the going rate for hatching in an incubator. Well, I had yesterday total of 14 eggs hatch out of 16 eggs. And I put 10 eggs in and I've had 9. The only time I've had any trouble is when I didn't know what I was doing. That I took the shells out and the little umbilical cord was still attached to inside the shell, and I pulled it off, and the chick slowly died. So that was a big mistake on my part. You don't pull anything off. You let them get off all by themselves and dry up. And then you can take the shells out of the incubator. Anyway, see, they're all healthy. They're all happy. And I love my incubator. And if you're planning on incubating eggs for the first time, it's not scary, believe me. It's really not. And it's so fun. You'll get addicted like me. I plan on doing this until I can't do it anymore. Anyway, you all have a good evening. I hope this was informative.